We call this special board meeting to order. October 24th, 2024 at 6:31 PM. Can I get a roll call?
Mazer. Jesus here.
Brianna Texoni here.
Mask on here. The agenda, is there anything changed?
Thank you, Mr. Mescon. Items 8C as in cat and D as in David, warrant register and purchase orders, I'd like to push to the November 14th board meeting pending proper documentation for both items, please.
Noted. You get a motion to move the agenda?
A motion.
We vote on that? Call for question?
Mazer. Jesus I.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Mask on, aye. All right. So let's go for any public participation.
Not at this time, but when we resume back from closed session, thank you.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn to closed session where we may discuss conference with labor negotiators, public employee discussion, discipline, dismissal, and release, conference with legal counsel, or student matters.
A motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Mazer. Jesus I.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Mask on, aye.
That was 6:32.
That's it.
You're so good. Oh, I love you.
Okay, well, welcome to our presentation for parent.
Parent
Ambassadors.
parent ambassadors. We're
Uh,
really excited to be here.
We are
Yeah.
to share what we're doing with our virtual academy powered by Acellus.
Brand new program, amazing program. Like, honestly, it is top notch. We've been using this now a couple months.
Mhm.
And you'll see some of the parent feedback and student feedback that we've gotten since we've started. Absolutely incredible. So like, we're both extremely excited. We got 180 accounts to start. We only have about 18 left because it's so popular. So
Right.
it's hugely popular and we're thrilled. So we definitely want to keep growing this for kids in our district and outside of our district.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll
Right.
start with introduction.
Yeah.
I'm Nicole Chun. I serve the K-8 students through Virtual Academy. So I keep track of all of their time, support them with their learning. And for grades K-3, I provide daily live instruction. And for grades 4-8, it's weekly.
And then I'm Alexa Lett. I do high school. And so I'm 9-12. And basically we'll go over the different programs that are at the high school, but we do have 4 different programs available that I kind of help oversee, which are fun. I like it. But yeah, 9-12, 13th year in the district. You've been here way longer.
Since the 90s,
Not to call you out, but
since the last century,
Yeah.
guys.
okay.
Okay, and so we're really excited because our virtual academy is designed to support learners who perhaps would benefit from an independent model. And we feel that Acellus gives us an opportunity to provide a really strong, comprehensive, rigorous program
Yeah.
that parallels a classroom program without like draining both of us.
Yeah.
So, because we know that education is not one size fits all. So, we're really excited to offer this as another avenue for learning and instruction for our students.
It's been really cool too, because I know like some of my kids, I have some kids playing soccer in Spain right now, and they're doing this program. And like, I have one who does professional motocross, just all different reasons for why they do virtual academy. So it's just really cool that we have the option, whether you're in district or out of district, if you have your kids doing other stuff or wants a different type of education to still allow them to do their passions, they can.
Absolutely.
So on the next slide, we do have a video. Like I said, we are bragging nonstop about Acellus. This is about like a 3-minute, 40-second video that just kind of goes over what it looks like K-12. So let's go ahead and watch.
Welcome to Acellus Gold Edition. After logging in, you'll see a list of your Acellus courses. To get started, select a course. Acellus keeps track of where you left off and takes you to your current assignment. Concepts in Acellus are taught through engaging video lessons. While viewing a lesson, you can pause the video to take notes or skip the video back by 15-second increments to re-watch a section again. After the video, you'll receive a short set of problems to test how well you have learned the concept. You are awarded gold learning credits based on the number of correct answers you enter, which can be used to earn prizes or unlock different features in your Acellus. If you click on the menu icon at the top, you can open the resources. Here you will find your class grade as well as your goal progress for the week. The lesson list lets you view your scores. You can view the details on each lesson and click an icon to re-watch a video or retake the problems for more practice or a better score. If you are needing help with a concept, the textbook can provide more information on what you are learning, and help videos let you watch different versions of the lesson or short help videos to show you how to answer similar problems. Acellus is armed with help around every corner, and sometimes when you aren't quite getting it, just try your best. If Acellus sees you aren't understanding a concept, it will switch you into vectored instruction mode to take a step back and fill in the background of what you are learning. Writing assignments in Acellus are delivered by Writing Tutor. Once you have read the instructions, you can use the dictionary or research for help as you write. Don't be afraid to try your best on words you don't know how to spell. When you're done, click Check to have Writing Tutor mark up your work with spelling and grammar mistakes for you to fix. If you used an unusual title or name on purpose, you can click on the mark next to the word to tell Acellus that word is okay. Once the mistakes are dealt with, you can submit your assignment and move on. Or you can use the boost suggestions to get ideas on how to improve your writing and get a higher score by writing on an advanced level. At the end of each unit, you will be given a review followed by an exam. The review lets you re-watch any of the videos from the unit and provides practice problems similar to the ones you will receive in the exam. All of the Acellus Help resources are available during reviews. It's important to review the material before starting the exam, as exams are an important part of your grade and can only be completed a few times. During an exam, you will not have access to the help resources. If an exam is completed with a less than perfect score, exam recovery will help you look at what you missed by displaying the wrong answers entered before giving you another try at the problem. All of the help resources are available during exam recovery. After completing exam recovery, you will then be able to retake the entire exam for a new score. At the top of your screen, Acellus keeps track of your daily goal. All of the work you complete fills up the progress bar. Once you have completed your goal in all of your courses, the activities are unlocked. Here you can practice your math facts, create your own circuit or program, or watch science live. Or you can write a book and publish it. In the library, you can read your books or other books written and published by Acellus students like you. Under Classmates, you can find and follow other students. You and your classmates can track each other's progress and leave comments for each other. You can also create your own competitions and invite different classmates to participate. In Stats, you can see how much gold you have earned, as well as how much time you've spent this week, review course completion progress, and your GPA. Good luck and enjoy learning with Acellus.
Oh, so cool. I'm sorry. It honestly, we used to have another program and this one is just really comprehensive for our kiddos. And that's K through 12. So we're going to go over some of the things that they covered within that program. Hi, Carrie. And so, but like I mentioned, there are different types of programs. So K through 12 is Virtual Academy, which is essentially homeschool. So to enroll with us, of course, you do have to be within our district. So you either if you don't live in our district, you can of course do an interdistrict transfer to enroll and do this with us. But if you're K through 8, you'd be with Nicole Chun. No matter what, if you're online, you still get one of us as your teacher. We're there to help you, support you. We check in, like she said, either once a day or once a week, depending on your grade for K through 12, or K through 3 once a day.
Live instruction once a day for K through 3.
Yeah.
Weekly for the
The rest.
4 through 8.
And
But
same
then
night.
we check in regularly too. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Something else extremely popular is blended learning, where some kids take, this is only at once they get to high school, just because it's just a little more advanced for them to be able to monitor this by themselves and with parents, where they take at least 2 classes at home, and then they can come in and do classes on campus. So a lot like to do, for example, they like doing construction or different things on campus that are hands-on that they enjoy as electives, but then they'll go home or start the day off at home to do their online classes. So it's really cool. We also have schedule conflicts that we utilize this for. So if they are full-time on campus, since we're little teeny tiny district, little teeny tiny school, there are only so many classes that they can fit in their schedule that it fits perfectly so that they get everything they need. Schedule conflicts allow us to utilize Acellus so they get everything that they want on their schedule. Just who'll be utilizing this platform, and there's still a teacher, Mr. Gaforian, there with them. And then credit recovery for those kiddos who maybe didn't do so well in the past. In a previous class, they ended up failing it. We do utilize Acellus to be able to get them back on track with their credits. So far, so great with that.
And so Acellus offers a variety of courses, obviously all of the grade level Common Core California standards based curriculum, but also electives. So each of those QR codes open the catalog for each of the grade levels. And one of the other things that's in this picture is the fact that the portals are age appropriate, and navigating them is sort of scaled as they become older and move through the program.
Like we heard, we had some metal art piece.
And back to that video though, one of the things my students really love is the fact that they can go back and watch the videos.
Yeah,
And hear it over and get extra support.
exactly. And
Ooh, Hector.
I know. Oh, I know. That's my favorite. So there are different things in that video that they covered. So even though sometimes when you're in your classroom, you have that teacher in person so that if you can't get help or you don't understand it right away, you were like, hey, Mrs. Lapp, I need help. Like, please help me. vectored instruction is like our teacher. So we're there too, but that automatically looks at how a student is responding. And it gives them immediate feedback to support them on things that they don't understand. For example, if they're in high school, you're in algebra 2, and there's a concept from algebra 1 a year ago that you don't know, but you need it in order to understand algebra 2. Vectored instruction within the SELUS is using artificial intelligence to basically look at how they're answering to say, oh, they don't remember, you know, this formula back from algebra 1. Let's reteach it so that they master this concept. They can retake the lesson. And then it's basically competency-based learning, what you can do, what you understand. Writing tutor, do you want to talk
Well, I
about
was
that
gonna
one?
say on vectored instruction, also on our dashboard, it tells us when a student has entered into vectored instruction.
Uh-huh.
So then we can also use our
Check in.
professional opinions and check in and support the students as well.
Yeah, for sure. The writing tutor, by the way, this is all available online. So if you ever want to share it with friends or tell someone about it or look at it for your own child, you can go
Yes.
see this.
We have a
Nicole-
link at the end.
Yes, but writing tutor, a lot of kids struggle with writing. It's one of those things where they're like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Writing tutor literally tutors them live as they're writing. It gives them that feedback. They press check work. It gives them that feedback so that they better understand what they can improve on. It's pretty incredible.
It is.
It's
so helpful.
Yeah, and then we look in after to say, okay, what did they submit? And we can give feedback, send it back to them if they didn't quite master it, and all that jazz. And then finally, the videos, if you've ever seen a SELUS in the past, it sounds like it was an older platform, but they just started revamping all of their professionally filmed videos. We had actually a few educators, and actually Dr. Chamberlain, you went too, right? To see how they film. It is incredible. Like, I was watching, my friend sent me videos of just the amount of time and effort they put into those very professional videos. I highly,
Yep.
the demo lessons, you'll be able to see more of that.
So we have demo lessons available. They're posted on our website. There's the tiny URL for that. And then we have some, you know, you can look over our student and parent testimonials. We won't read them.
Basically, everyone
But we're-
loves it. Like, and I'm not kidding when I say that. We've had
Yeah, we've had a lot of positive response.
huge, and a lot of kids, I'm not kidding. I've literally had parents message me saying, okay, look, my kids at home, they won't stop. Like, how do I get this? I'm not kidding. I wish I were. And it's not just like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Yeah.
thing. It's like, they're like, okay, my kid is like really into this, which is really cool to hear, because distance
Mhm.
learning can be hard. So to hear there's a platform that
Yeah.
supports them with
And
that.
both of us
makes
have
me
been
happy.
teaching virtual for some time. And
Yeah.
I think this has been like an amazing,
Yeah.
like so much easier and better for the students and really like
Yeah.
connects us really well. I think it's been.
And parents can see live everything. But yeah, Q&A, questions, anything.
Before we get voted off. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well,
So
oh, go
if
ahead.
you go to that site, that's actually our full website, but those will give you the links also to the videos and things like that. Those are in the brochure also.
Mhm.
Then we have brochures in the back.
Yeah, okay. Thank you guys
Thank
so much
you.
for your time.
Thank you.
And the next one, contact us if you have any questions. So we'll just put that up there. So go ahead and send us an email. Nicole and I are available to answer any questions that might come up later. Hi, Dr. Sabian. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, perfect.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 24th session of the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees. Lester, would you give a report out of closed session, please?
There was no action taken in closed session.
Thank you very much. We will reconvene the regular meeting at 7:01 PM. Nurse Carrie, could you lead us in the flag salute, please? Thank you. When conducting the district's business, we will strive to communicate clearly and concisely with a respect for the time of others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and efforts of others who have served in the past. Are there any public comments? Yeah.
Yes, Board President. There are three. Thank you.
Mr. Rowe, can I put you at the end, please? Thank you. Last name is Colancho. Colocho, I am so sorry. Thank you. Thank you. You have 3 minutes. State your name for the record. Start.
My name's Bessie Colotro. I'm a 2010 alumni of the school district and currently a parent of 2 children enrolled, one at Meadowlark and one at High Desert. Today, I come before you with a serious concern regarding safety and well-being of my children. First, I want to address the critical issue of timely and effective communication. Last week, my son was choked at Meadowlark. Shockingly, I did not learn about this incident from the school. I heard about it from him at home. Sorry. When I went to speak to the principal, she assured me she would call me by noon. However, I never received that call. Instead, I only heard from my son's teacher. I followed up with an email expressing my concerns about the lack of communication regarding the actions taken in response to this incident. Unfortunately, again, I did not receive a reply. This morning, after forwarding my email to district staff, I finally received a call from Ms. Jones, who stated that she was giving me a call back because the district had contacted her and gave off the impression that pretty much that is the only reason why I received the phone call. She also stated that she didn't realize I was expecting a call from her. She believed the call from my son's teacher was sufficient. How can we as a community trust a school led by a principal who does not see the importance of direct communication with parents? This should be unacceptable to our district. The second concern involves the lack of resource and inadequate disciplinary measures at our middle school. My daughter was violently attacked from behind this last Wednesday. Sorry. She was beaten, dragged by her hair, and punched multiple times in the head and back by 2 girls. One of the attackers has a history of similar offenses at High Desert. What was the response? A 2-day suspension. While my daughter has been out for 5 days, not including the weekend, as per her doctor's orders. A 2-day suspension is simply not enough to address such
such behavior, and unfortunately, the same students continue to act out year after year without any meaningful change. It is unacceptable that I am forced to be filing police reports and seeking legal action because the school's discipline measures were too weak to address these issues. These children seem to view the current consequences as a joke, and they continue to disrupt learning environments. Today was her first day back, and the emotional toll this has taken on our whole family is not okay. It is unbearable to hear her recount how she simply was just trying to protect her face. And the entire time this was happening to her, she was praying, please God, help me get this out of this, make it stop. As parents, we send our children to school believing they are entering a safe environment. Our kids are our entire lives, our whole hearts. To say I am angry, upset, and disappointed in our school disciplinary system is an understatement. I have spoken with multiple parents who share similar stories of inadequate responses to violence and bullying, where attackers received only 1 or 2 days of suspension. A mother who her son is still currently being bullied at school without any consequences to the bullies. I've also heard from students who fear for their safety because they themselves have been threatened by my daughter's same attacker. I was a student at Vasquez when a kid killed himself in the school bathroom over being bullied. We are supposed to be a no tolerance school. When does this stop? When do we say this is enough? If we as parents do not advocate for our children, who will? My daughter is an honor roll student, an athlete, and an ASB member. She deserves to have her education uninterrupted and to feel safe at school. As a parent, we as parents should not have to be the one pushing these issues to the school district. I should have the trust in the people in charge to bring situations like this themselves to the district staff. Although I am very grateful for the district staff that has been helping me this past week and have been checking up on my daughter, it is time for a change. Stronger disciplinary actions need to start at our schools. I urge the board to consider implementing stricter consequences for reoccurring offenses to assure that our school remains a safe and productive place for all students. By strengthening our policies now, we can prevent future parents from having to deal with these same issues. I have attached another mother's statement, which I cannot bear to read out loud because it is absolutely horrible to read her story about an incident that happened to her daughter at High Desert. I urge you all to take immediate action to improve communication and enhance disciplinary measures in our schools. Our children deserve better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please have a seat. We cannot respond to you.
Yeah.
You may find board comments interesting this evening at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
I would give the board a minute here to read the second statement.
Thank you.
Mr. Jeffrey King. Sir, state your name for the record.
Jeffrey King, members of the board, parents of the school district. My name is Jeffrey King. My son currently attends Meadowlark Elementary School in second grade. This is my son's first year in the school district. So far, it has not been a pleasant experience. My son was met with aggression, violence, and humiliation, along with potential child abuse from his teacher. On Friday, October 18th, I attended a parent-teacher conference with my son. The second I walked into the class, I was met by an aggressive teacher. The way she presented herself towards me and my son throughout the conference was absolutely not okay. I watched the teacher's body language go from aggressive to violent multiple times. And when I say aggression to violence, I mean lunging at my son in an attempt to, in an attempt to intimidate and to get him to agree with her. If this is happening in front of a parent, what is happening behind closed doors when our children are locked in a classroom with her all alone? The teacher also looked at my son's eyes and stated, quote, "I'm giving up on you. Whatever grade you get is the grade you get, and I'm no longer helping you," end quote. I asked my son if anything else happens during class, and he stated, "Myself and other students get placed on a timeout and placed in the corner to face the wall for a period of time, and occasionally get placed outside in the heat with no water on timeout. This is potential child abuse in our school system." When I addressed the situation with Ms. Jones, the principal, she did not have a sense of urgency and to address the problem. I was also told I would receive a call back within an hour. However, she failed to do so. It wasn't until Monday when I showed up to the school to voice my concern again, to voice my concern again, and the fact that I did not receive a phone call with an outcome. I felt dismissed and that nothing would happen. It wasn't until I reached out to the superintendent's office that I received a phone call from Ms. Jones and was told my son would be moved to a different class and she could not discuss the disciplinary action with the teacher. I asked if the teacher returned to the school to continue to teach, and she said yes at this time. I told her this is not okay and it should be addressed with HR and the board. And she should not have returned to the school until an investigation was concluded. At that time, Ms. Jones said, "Okay, fine, have a nice day," and hung up on me. As a principal and point of contact for our children at the school, this is absolutely not okay and disrespectful. I spoke with several other parents that informed me this is not the first incident with the teacher nor the principal. I was told a year or so ago the teacher had thrown a clipboard at a student. This is not acceptable by any means, and she should not have returned to the school, and her teaching credentials should have been revoked. In the district email at the end of the signature portion, it states, "Empowering minds, building futures, our small district, and infinite possibilities." At this moment in time, I feel there is no empowering minds, only crushing hopes and dreams. As far as building futures, you can't build a future with our children when our children are met with aggression and violence from their teachers. As far as infinite possibilities, they can't have possibilities without growth and learning. And when the teacher refuses to teach, there's no possibility of learning. At this time, I feel the administration has just been sweeping things under the rug and letting things go. And it's time for that rug to be hung up and things to be coming out of the closet. Our children are our future, and a school is a safe haven for them, and they should not have to come to school and be met with aggression or violence from their teachers or administration. At this time, at this day and age, children all around the world are committing self-harm, suicide from bullying and humiliation. They should never get this from the teachers or administrators. On a positive note, Mr. Robert, I've seen interact with our children morning and afternoon and at the after-school program. He encourages our children in a positive way, and all the children respond to him and love him. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your patience. We're good. Like I said, board member comments are at the end of the meeting. They may be interesting tonight. Thank you, staff, for being at attention when we have public speakers here. Mr. Rowe.
All right, if I'm out of it, I'm sorry, checking in our football players because there was an accident up on Crown Valley. So I'm checking in with every one of them and crossing their names off. Good evening. My name is Coach Gary with Vasquez Football. I'm just here for our bi-weekly update. Just want to give everybody an update. Since the last meeting, we won our game the night after, but then this last week, we actually lost our first game in the last 5. So we have a game tomorrow night all the way out in Paris. If we win, we will make the playoffs. So we have 2 games left to make the playoffs, and it's a pretty big feat for not winning a game in almost 3 years. So as a coaching staff, we're really proud. I think like I spoke last time, as a coaching staff, we think our biggest accomplishment is actually not wins and losses. It's actually helping these young men grow up to be respectful young men. And then the second part when it comes to football is it's just a culture. I think we're finally getting the culture, the football culture back to Vasquez. I think I might have stated this before. I haven't seen it since Coach Jorgensen's days. So, but it's really great. Like always, I want to thank our principal. She's been really great and active with us. We know we can go to her for anything. Even our superintendent, the support we get from you and all you guys up there, our board members. To end it, we also our grades. One big thing, Coach Perez is really on top of his grades. And when we do our study hall and even Mondays in the green room, we make sure. And I'm happy to say that we're all eligible. So, and their grades are up. And it's, for me, it's one of those things that as the offensive coordinator, I'm on top of these kids because we let them know, like, we have a saying, it takes one player to let us down or to lose. But to win, we need everybody. We need all of them. So again, it's another positive update. Fingers crossed for tomorrow night. We'll make the playoffs, and it's going to be interesting. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. It sounds like there's some community mentoring opportunities abound for your team. I'll talk to you later. Thank you. That's it for community comments.
Yes.
Correspondence, proposals, and reports. Add a wrap.
Not short tonight.
So thank you for the opportunity to speak. ADA just concluded their board elections, and Nicole Chung will be continuing as our vice president, and Nicole Salcedo will be our new secretary. So I wanted to let everybody know. And then I also, Gina Botten wanted to, our fabulous sports director at High Desert, wanted to share some stuff with you. So I'm going to be reading from that. She stated that we just wrapped up the fall varsity volleyball season. Both our boys and girls teams made it to the final championship game and ended up taking second place in the Silver League. Thank you, Coach Michelle Herman, for all of your dedication to our teams. Thank you to Mr. Romano and Coach Rachel for helping us at the tournament. Our league is so thankful to have such a nice facility of the VHS gym to compete in for our championships. Thank you. Our JV girls basketball finished their second. Sorry, I'm not a good reader. Our JV girls basketball finished their season with a win against Our Lady of Perpetual Health. They had so much fun and improved drastically. Thank you, Coach Rivas and Coach Prosser. Last week, High Desert cross country team attended the Mount Sac Elementary Invitational. Our runners had the experience of a lifetime. Congratulations to Avery Walker for taking 4th in her division out of 137 runners. Coach Laura has been a wonderful addition to our coaching staff, and our athletes have been putting in so much heart and dedication into their running skills. Keep it up, guys. The boys JV soccer team has been working hard with all of the mentorship of Coach Brando. They're headed into the playoffs next week for the Santa Clarita Athletic Independent League, and we want to wish them the best of luck. We had a huge turnout for our flag football tryouts. Coach Tucker and Coach Prosser are really excited for the season. We will be hosting all 6 schools weekly for our season games at the High Desert Field. We love everyone to come out and watch the games and support our snack bar, who has been hard at work trying to get portable lights into our fields. Couldn't be more proud of our student athletes. Thank you to all our parents, boosters, and administrators who support our athletic program, and go Hawks.
Thank you. CSEA rep, thank you. Student rep to the board.
I apologize for my tardy, everybody. I did not know we were starting early today. Is this thing on? Starting my report, let's start with Vasquez High School. Yeah, is it? No? Hello. Okay. Some highlights for Vasquez High School are PTSO students and staff. Thank you very much. Our PTSO students and staff have been working hard planning a great fall festival, including many community vendors and groups. PBIS rewards have grown and become a very large hit among students. There are now prizes and things that students can buy regarding their teachers. Some upcoming events. Again, our fall festival is this Saturday, October 26th, and October 25th is our football game. Tomorrow, it is our last away football game. Athletics. Fall sports are coming to a close. Girls volleyball season has ended. The program is moving in the right direction. We have a very young team and they showed great improvement in their play this season. Cross country has league finals next week and CIF prelims the following week. Ivy Rios has been a great spot. Football. The football team is on track to make playoffs for the first time in a decade. Congratulations to the players on this historic accomplishment. Cheer. School spirit has significantly increased and cheerleading has played a significant role in that boost. Flag football had another successful season and they finished with a 10-10 record. Some campus updates. Our advanced construction class is working on building a large shed for school use. We are proud of our students contributing to their school with their skills programs, solving abilities, and their creativity. And that is it for Vasquez High School. Moving on to Meadowlark. This week, Meadowlark had their great shakeout drill, and they're proud to share that everyone did a fantastic job. Students, teachers, and parent helpers followed instructions and demonstrated great focus during the drill. Thank you all for your participation and effort. Looking ahead, they are gearing up for Red Ribbon Week, which will take place from yesterday, October 23rd to Thursday, October 31st. Red Ribbon Week is a national campaign that promotes healthy and drug-free lifestyles and encourages students to make positive choices. It's a great opportunity to remind our students about the importance of staying drug-free and making good decisions. Meadowlark PTO has planned some exciting Spirit Week activities, and on October 29th, they'll have a special BMX bike show to entertain the students while reinforcing the message of being drug-free. Meadowlark will be hosting a fundraiser featuring a silent cake auction and a cake decorating contest at the Vasquez Fall Festival this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be a sweet time for a great cause. Don't miss out on the fun and help Meadowlark raise funds for their school at the VHS Fall Festival. They can't wait to see you there. Meadowlark is also hosting a Harvest Festival October 30th at 9:30 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. with games, treats, mini golf, sack races, music, and more. And that is it for my report.
Thank you very much. Superintendent report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Falsgraf. Tonight, I'll be focusing on 3 goals from our plan. Goal 2, effective instruction leadership. Goal 3, community engagement. Goal 5, utilization of fiscal capital. Goal 2, effective instruction leadership. Very excited about the upcoming October 28th Schools to Watch Committee making their visit to High Desert based on the Schools to Watch redesignation application submitted by Principal Van Ornum. As it is a redesignation, High Desert has been designated a school to watch site multiple times over. A school to watch is a school which has a proven track record of effectiveness in the areas of social equity, responsiveness, academic excellence, innovative systems. Currently, there are 600 schools to watch in 17 states, High Desert being one of them. Looking forward to Monday. Goal 3, community engagement. Thank you once again to Ed Services team for presenting our second Parent Ambassadors Education Workshop during closed session this evening. Topic was Virtual Academy, Acellus. An overview of Acellus highlighting the Virtual Academy itself, available for kinder all the way through 12th grade, a blending learning opportunity for high school students, as well as a credit recovery option was shared with parents this evening. Once again, thank you, Dr. Chamberlain, Alexa Lepp, Nicole Chun for your presentation. We value your time and your expertise. Goal 5, utilization of fiscal capital. We are excited to share photos of 2 newly acquired vans. That was the bus, but these are the vans, along with the 75-passenger school bus that you saw momentarily, as we are in process of purchasing the passenger van, 75 for 75 students capacity. A heartfelt thank you to the school board for their unwavering support in addressing the needs of the district. Separate from the goals that I previously outlined, I want to share something with the board that hasn't been discussed yet, which is quite unusual for me as a superintendent. Over a year ago, I applied for a United States Marine JROTC program at Vasquez High School. I'm excited to announce that the application has been approved, pending a site visit by the Marine JROTC. Representatives from the program will be visiting Vasquez shortly to assess the campus. And close your ears, Mr. Kai, and they're going to be identifying space for the program on campus. The Marine JROTC is a military regulated high school program aimed at educating students in leadership as well as citizenship. Cadets who complete the 4-year program, it's quite robust and rigorous, may enlist after graduation and enter recruit training at a higher rank. I'll be happy, of course, to provide updates as we move forward with developments. Thank you. This concludes my report.
Facilities and Finance Subcommittee report.
No report at this time.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the Educational Subcommittee to kick off and let us know what's happening there. Do we have any submissions?
No, sir. We will have a submission for options for youth set for November 14th board meeting. Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda. Before I ask for a motion, it's my understanding that the minutes and not the minutes, but the warrant register and purchase orders have been pulled off the agenda.
That is correct.
That is correct. So I will move that we discuss the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Is there anything to be pulled off?
Yes. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd like to pull items.
Let's do this first. I want to pull does this book on the consent agenda? I want to pull this item. So before we move on, we will vote on consent agenda item A, the minutes of the last meeting. Discussion? Call the
So
question.
that would be item
Just
B.
that item.
Mazak. Jesus, I.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Mask on.
Falls Graph, aye. Superintendent, you've pulled
Requesting to pull item 8F as in Frank, CAC representative for AADUSD, please.
Go ahead.
For discussion.
Yes. I'll move that we discuss that.
Thank you. So 8F, Community Advisory Committee, CAC for short, representative to AADUSD. This is an action item per the agenda. And it is actually a renewal for a period of 2 years for the district representative to the Antelope Valley CAC, Ms. Ange Martin, who has proudly served the last several years and also serves, I have to add, as a CAC chair and has reapplied to effectively continue in this role. Thank you.
Comments, discussion, call to question?
Mazak. Susai.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Mascot.
Falls Graph, aye. I'll move in that we discuss the item, which is the approval, item E, approval of Mental Health America book, Where to Start Not to Exceed $700. I'll move that in.
Second.
Can
Thank you.
somebody- Yeah, can superintendent frame this book? Is it your recommendation that this book be approved by the board?
It is my recommendation to approve this book, Where to Start.
I'll ask the inappropriate question. I always ask. I'm not going to have to get an attorney to find out that my child is identifying as a kitten because of this book. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'm big on parents' rights. Take over, please.
Thank you. And I would like to go ahead and preface that this book is not for circulation as part of supplemental curriculum or instruction. This is a book that could be utilized if approved and copies picked up at front offices of our 3 sites. Using a jargon-free approach as the slide indicates, this is an easy to read book, which provides understanding of warning signs, symptoms, options for individuals and their mental health. Book is divided into 4 parts. Part 1 dives into symptoms and causes of various mental health conditions in an understandable format. There are some pictures there that you see is very descriptive of something in a comic, very simplistic terms for our students to read and understand. Part 2, sharing ways for readers to discuss their mental health needs with parents, caretakers, friends, including handling awkwardness or questions and reaching out with that type of support. Part 3 dives into various types of mental health assistance available across the country, including telehealth, hotlines, school resources. Part 4 is a do-it-yourself mental health practices kind of worksheet, which provides helpful tips and tricks to our readers to kind of do the self-care and take action to prevent further escalations and symptoms. I'd like to invite Ms. Carrie Wright. She recommended, this book for our school sites, and she's always looking out and being diligent of what could be, resources that will help and support our social emotional well-being of our students. Ms. Wright.
I was introduced to the book last year during just one of my trainings for mental health, and it's a good book in that it's recommended by the California Department of Public Health. It's a book that any student who's kind of afraid to go to an adult or somebody of that nature can kind of like go through it and be able to like learn strategies of how to address their own mental health. I was recommending it for our wellness centers. So the kids that are struggling with their mental health can go into the wellness center and check out the book. No questions asked. They can go through it. They can learn different techniques to help them with whatever is, whatever they're going through.
Discussion?
Glad to see we're implementing this in the schools. I think it'll help a lot.
Will parents be able to check out the book so that they can see what their kids are able to check out?
Yes, so copies will be available at the 3 sites for parent or student to actually pick up and actually take home, and that would be their copy.
Thank you.
Of course.
Have the teachers and site administrators seen this and provided any input?
I don't think the administrators have. Our mental health team has all looked at it and all of our counselors have looked at it. But yeah,
So what I'm asking is, does the teaching staff, and I'm not talking about the union, this is not a union negotiation item. Do the teachers and the district administrators at the sites, have they seen this? Okay, so do we want to table this or do you want to hear me abstain?
I'd like to also add, if I may, Board President, that just like any other curriculum up for adoption, this has been posted on our website for 10 days, and as well as, the book copy here at the district office for preview by any staff member, parent, or community member, that which is a standard practice for anything that's being adopted.
So again, the question was, do we want to table this until somebody from the Teachers Association can let me know that we've seen this and they'll support this and it'll be holistic and not kids walking in to get out of class for 5 minutes and then coming back to villainize their teacher. I'm the one that will say that stuff, sorry. Do we want to table that until somebody can tell me and update me that next week, or do I abstain from the vote?
Definitely, as a team, we could go ahead and move forward with the request, actually share it with ADA and the Teachers Union to preview as well. And then bring it back to the November 14th board meeting.
Perfect. Everybody good with that? Perfect, thank you. I don't think you'll have a quorum of votes, but I can call the question. Call the question. I move that we pull this off, not vote tonight until someone can include in the report that this has been shared with the teaching staff at the sites and the school administrators understand what this is and support it and being implemented. That was my thing. Somebody's calling for a vote, so we'll call the question. Well, then you would either abstain or vote no.
Or are we voting to approve the purchase?
The table. My move was to table it until I can repeat what I just said.
Mazak.
Voting to table it, Brianna Texel,
Mask on it.
Falls you have aye, it goes to the next meeting. Personnel action report, I will move in the personnel action report.
I'll second.
No changes to the PAR report for this evening. Thank you.
Discussion? Call to question?
Mazak.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Mask on it.
Falls Graf, aye. I will move in item B, AAD USD standard recruiting and hiring procedures.
Thank you, Board President. And before Ms. Erdrich begins, I'd like to just preface this presentation by, thanking the board for supporting the standalone HR office that is new to the district, led by the dynamic director, Ms. Jackie Erdrich. Glad she's on board as part of the team. She'll be presenting an overview of district hiring practices, screening of candidates, staff supports, and information in between. Ms. Erdrich.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, and thank you for allowing me this presentation. So I'd like to tell you the process. First thing we do is any site or department completes a personnel request. That comes to me. With that, then we open the posting on EdJoin. Depending on how critical the position is, it is posted for 1 week. Usually it's for 2, but if it's a very critical position, we list it for 1 week. And the postings are sent to the sites so that they can post them also. For certificated openings, once the posting on EdJoin closes, first thing I do is go to the California Commission for Teacher Credentialing to verify the applicant's credential and check for any adverse or commission actions. And the reason I do that is because sometimes we have applicants that apply for a teaching position, but the credential that they hold is a 30-day sub permit. So they don't have the correct credential. So I'm looking for their credential to be sure, 1, that it's current, 2, the correct one. And again, no adverse or commission actions. Then those applications are looked at by the principals and they tell me who would they like to interview. And again, we're looking for the minimum requirements being met by the applicants. For classified, once the posting closes, we look to see, does the applicant meet the minimum requirements? If they do, the applications go to the director. And then again, they look at them. They tell me who they would like to interview based on the experience of the person. For the interview process, for certificated positions, we have principals, other certificated staff, and myself. For the classified positions, we have the director, classified staff, classified union representative, and myself. The applicants are contacted and the interviews are scheduled at that point. After the interviews are completed, the panel completes a forced ranking. Then I ask each panelist, who was your number one choice, number two, and so forth. That gives us who the top candidate is. Then we decide, do we want to move forward? Because sometimes, let's say we only had one or two people that applied. Well, if you have, especially when you only have one, they're obviously going to be number one, but do we feel that they're going to be a right fit? If they are, I call for the references. I have to get 2 good references before we move forward. If we don't feel that they're going to be a good fit, we're going to then notify them. Thank you for coming in. The panel decided not to move forward with you, and we repost the position on EdJoin. Once the applicants have the 2 good references, I call to make an offer and I tell them that that offer is pending 1, fingerprints clearing. When we do the live scan, that goes to the FBI and the DOJ to check for any records. And also it has to be board approved. Once the fingerprints have cleared, I call the employee and tell them, come pick up the paperwork that you're going to need to fill. Do not fill it. You can fill it out, but I'm not going to take it from you until after you've been board approved. But that way they already have it. They can take the time to fill out all the paperwork. Once the board approves, that's when I call the applicant, tell them, congratulations, you were board approved. Please bring in all the paperwork to me. For certificated, they also have to bring in transcripts. I need official transcripts from all the universities that they have attended. And the reason for this is based on their degrees, if they have a master, how many graduate units pass their masters is going to determine what column they are placed on in the salary schedule. I also give them a form that they send to the previous districts where they have worked for verification of years of service. Years of service, they need to have completed 75% of the year to receive the 1-year credit. For certificated staff, if you were a substitute, that does not count towards the step on the step-in column on the salary scale. So it has to be as a teacher, not as a substitute. And then also verification of unused sick time, because that can be transferred over as long as it's transferred over within 1 year of them having left the previous district, because that is good to have for when you retire. STRS gives you credit for that time. So those are the steps that we take with the certificated. This is list of paperwork that is completed by the employees. You have the I-9 form, which is the one that verifies that they're eligible to work in the United States. They have the W-4, which is your federal tax withholdings, the EDD worksheet, which is state withholding. You have direct deposit if that's what they'd like to have versus a check. You have the Lincoln beneficiary form, and that's for the full-time employees for the life insurance policy that the district provides for them. We also have the warrant receipt form. If something were to happen to the employee, they cannot come to pick up their paycheck because they're getting it as a check. Who is authorized to come in their place to receive it? So they fill that out. They're also given the requirements of the Keenan videos that need to be completed before they can start working. Those are the videos that discuss the fact that any employee is a mandated reporter. So, and other videos that have to do with those things. We also have a loyalty oath that is given from the district. We have board policies that we want all new employees to be aware of. So we give those to them, and then the front page, they sign and acknowledge that they have read them and are aware of those board policies. And then also emergency contact. And if you're receiving benefits, your medical, dental, and vision enrollment, they can do it online, but they still need to complete the long form for us so that payroll knows how much to deduct from their check based on which insurance they chose and at what level they chose the insurance. That is the information, but I want to add one little thing. There's a new Assembly Bill 2534, which was signed and goes into effect January 1st. That now will require all certificated applicants to give you a list of every single district that they had ever worked in. And then myself as HR, I would then call every single HR department at every single district, and they have to disclose if there's anything pending against that employee. If they've been reported to the California Commission of Teacher Credentialing, anything pending, they have to disclose that now. And that goes into effect January 1st. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
Discussion.
That bill that goes into effect, does that include their sub years or just their years as a teacher?
It includes everything because they were at that district working.
Okay.
You get notified of the investigations that have already been adjudicated?
If they have gone through the teacher credentialing, which we found takes up to 2 years before anything is decided and actually reported. So when you go to the website, there is a flag that is posted and you can click on it to see what the adverse action is. But it can take up to 2 years from when a report is done for them to actually post that. This new Assembly Bill will now change that to where when we call the districts, even though it's a pending investigation, they will disclose that to us. Thank you.
I think you know my question. Well, are we allowed to ask if they're eligible for rehire?
Yes.
Call their former employer.
Mhm. Yes.
So our practice would be to always ask that question of all former employers
Yes.
and to require the listing of the former employer in order for our own application.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you saw my last board member comments, you'll realize I was walking a razor blade line here. The last time, we're not having this discussion for no reason. And it will also not, it will be on the education committee's first agenda, and that isn't happening by accident either. Couple questions, Jackie. If you can tell me, great. If not, tell me to talk to the lawyer.
Okay.
If I visit the credentialing site as a parent, do I get the same information that you do as a staff member?
Yes. The only difference is, for example, say that there's 3 people with my name, Jacqueline Erdrich. You would need, you're not going to know which one is my credential. What I can do is if they provide their social security number and birth date, can pinpoint them. But it is something that is open to the public. Anyone can search any certificated teacher's credential or administrators.
IT, can you help me out? Can you jump on the internet, and pull up the California Teaching Credentials website right now? Can you do that for me? Thank you. So when I look at a teacher or I would, you know what? Only Alessa Lepp would do that. God loves you, Alessa Lepp. I get credit for saying that too. I need it. Bad gateway, bad gateway. Okay, this is
Sorry.
what it is. Okay. So the question is, if I'm a parent and I pull up and check a credential, if there has been an incident in which there's been a sanction, will I see the teacher up there and see that credential?
Okay, so if you please go to search for an educator, the first box, see the magnifying glass over the computer? Okay. No. Go back. And right here, yes. So public search. And go ahead and put in my last name. I'm the only Erdrich, so you just have to you don't need my first name. Nope, you spelled it wrong. E-R-D. It's okay. R-I-C-H. E-R-D. R-I-C-H. Honest, I'm there. E-R-D.
This is what happens when you put the HR director
R-I-C.
looking over their own application.
Okay. Okay, so go ahead and click on mine. And if you allow me, I'll go up to the screen. Right at the top where it says Los Angeles County Office in the gray box, below that, it says adverse and commission action indicator. If I had done anything wrong, there would be a flag there. Okay?
Please scrape the screen for a whiteout check, please.
Now, even if the flag is not there, you have current document, all documents, adverse and commission action. If you click on that, it would show if there was anything. And that again is a public search that anyone can look at.
Okay, is there something that you would see that would be different if there was information there?
No, it would just, and it doesn't tell you what the adverse action was. It just tells you what the result was. So was the credential revoked? Was it suspended for a month? But it doesn't disclose what the action was.
So let's say I have one of these things and I'm bouncing from district to district, and I'll get into the time frame of that. And you just arbitrarily, whenever you see an action, you just go, you know what, Fallsgraf is going to abstain on this person. I'm not even going to put them on it. What would legal say about you making arbitrary decisions where you want a staff that has no adverse? Can you do that?
Yes, that is a district decision. Absolutely. You
Good.
can.
Good. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would wonder why they're on the personnel action report. You know, I don't discuss the personnel action report, but I look at it, and if I would kind of want to know that.
Yes,
I
sir.
wouldn't want to I don't want to get into micromanaging the personnel action report, but I would suggest that I don't find myself finding out 3 weeks later from an attorney in the back room that somebody didn't. We can't have that kind of ball dropping. Now, let's say that I do something inappropriate in the classroom.
Mhm.
And you go, uh-oh, that's like not only bad, it's criminal. The sheriff's department's on the way, la, la, la. And then you're just kind of like, I really don't want anyone to know that, even though it's all over the district website and I'm the last one to find out. What happens? What's your obligation? This might be a superintendent question. We're talking about, we have mandatory reporters and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
What should you do? Make the
Please, Mr.
assignment
Attorney.
as you like.
If one of our employees specifically certificated does something like that, we're going to obviously deal with it through legal, but we're also going to report it to the California Commission of Teacher Credentialing. You have to provide what happened, any evidence, and all that is sent to them.
Okay, so what if you call there? It seems like we're like really familiar with these questions and answers, but we haven't actually ever discussed them. Not really. So what would happen if you called the California teaching credential and then you found out that there was something there, but that there was no way for you to know that following normal protocol? Now what?
So if there
Careful.
is something that's in the process and has not been reported, we can report it also. And our explanation is because something was not already there, we hired this person. Had this been there, that never would have happened. And we could say, this needs to happen on a quicker, even if you put a flag that says something is being investigated, that would be, something for us to see. So we can also report it.
So that was my question about, is something different from the parent would see or the public versus you? So there's no difference.
There's no difference, sir.
So I'm back to being that employee and you catch on to me. So I run off over here. And how long could I outrun this and how many districts could I rack up in the process? And by the way, if you're watching, I don't give a damn if you sue me, because when you do, I'll say exactly what the hell I want to say. Next.
Well, before January 1st, up to 2 years, you could get.
So
away
I
with
could
it
literally bounce like a Super Bowl through every district doing whatever it is I'm doing and
2
nobody
years.
would know.
For 2 years.
That's lovely.
Up to 2 years, yes.
Okay, you can choose to answer this. Have you ever experienced exactly what I'm talking about?
Unfortunately, yes, I have.
Okay. Have you ever seen a school board demand that you file even though someone else has told you you would file? Or they've filed already?
They could, but it would have already been filed. Or I should.
But we could go ahead and file.
Well, it
As a
comes-
board, we could ask staff to say, I don't care whether they filed or not. I want a letter with our name on it and our attorney's name going to these people up there, because just in case they kind of lose the other one, they have ours.
Yes, you
Have
could.
you ever seen that happen?
I haven't, but yes, you could.
Okay, well, I might show you it happening very soon. So, that said, what is it that you can do
Mhm.
to stop this? Are you doing everything? This is why we're having the presentation. Here's the $100,000 question right here.
What's going to change is this new, because a lot of times when you call a district, they can't give you negative information about someone else. Now, with this new assembly bill going into effect January 1st, they have to disclose that information. The districts have to do it by law.
You're a HR person, the
Yes.
first one that I ever thought was cool. I have a lot of experience with HR.
Thank you.
Wonder why he's the greatest dancer. This is serious. Let's say that I know that somebody has been released,
Mhm.
okay? And let's say it's in this district. And let's say you are a staff member and you know what happened. And somebody from the next district I run to, I list you as a reference and you know what's happened. And the HR director calls you and says, you're listed as a reference. What kind of questions can you ask the person?
Okay, let me say it this way. I had an applicant who we liked. This was at my previous district. That great interview. Everything looked really good. And then I did the reference checks. And when I did the reference checks, got a hold of one person who didn't tell me anything, but told me quite a lot, because every question was, I'm sorry, I cannot answer that. I'm sorry, I cannot answer that. And on one of them, because the last question is there anything that I should know that would preclude me from offering this person a position? And the answer was, I cannot respond to that for legal reasons. And then he said, I am so sorry that I wasn't able to. I go, oh, no. Thank you, because your non-answers gave me a ton of information. I appreciate
So
it.
I went to school in Oklahoma. What does all that mean to me?
That means that there's obviously something this person did that may not be yet on the CTC because it wasn't, or they wouldn't have
So I
gotten an
want to play the
interview.
victim role and you don't hire me. And I say, well, why?
You don't
and-
have to give a reason as to why
That's-
not. You can just say the panel decided to select someone else.
So have
That's
you
all.
ever talked to anybody that didn't tell you something significant in your experience as an HR director? And then you found out that wasn't true?
Unfortunately, yes.
If you were a person who was in the habit of doing that and you were acting under the color of your employer. So that means somebody did that here. I'm a teacher for AADUSD. I knew what this person did and I went ahead and just said that anyway. Do you think there's any potential legal consequences, especially if you have a litigious board president that knows enough to be dangerous?
I haven't heard,
Well, you might.
but
So,
sorry.
yeah, I don't like this kind of thing at all. Since I asked all those questions, anybody else want to loop back around? No, this is. We got to get you a life. We really do. If you think that you're sitting here and listening to me is exciting, I got to get some help for you.
I think she was just.
Maybe
being
this
nice.
book. Okay, I really want the education subcommittee to the first meeting, focus on what are we doing to put good people like these people right here in the classroom. And there's something else on there, but learning has to start with kids feeling safe in the classroom. You don't learn anything unless that, and I'll have some doozy board member comments here in a little bit. So that said, thank you, and I hope that you will assist the education subcommittee. When it comes time for policy and management, you'll
Yes.
be right up front there too. So thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Education and Pupil Services, I will move in lead learner associates, professional learning coaching not to exceed $12,150.
I'll second.
Thank you. Late last spring, our board approved a consultant contract with Lead Learners to support our 3 site principals with external coaching. We are recommending approval to continue this service for this current academic year. Thank you.
Discussion? Call to question?
Mays, I.
D'Souza.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Mascona.
Falls Graph, aye. I will open a public hearing on item A under visitors, second public hearing, California Voter Rights Act, criteria for drafting maps, presentation by legal counsel and demographer. We'll open up that hearing at 8:03 p.m. And I believe I'll read this, which was written by an attorney. Good evening, everyone! Exclamation point. Welcome to the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District second public hearing on the criteria used for drafting trustee area maps under California Voting Rights Act, or CVRA as it is commonly known. The purpose of today's public hearing is to receive input from the public on criteria to be used for the maps of the 5 trustee areas that will be drawn by the demographer. Although the criteria are specified in state law to some degree, the public's input on criteria will be very helpful. After tonight's hearing, there will be a public hearing on November 14th to discuss the maps drafted by our demographer. Before I turn over the podium to our legal counsel, Ron Wenkart, to introduce our demographer, Justin Levitt, I am going to just mention a few major points. The CVRA is a state law which prohibits at-large voting systems that impair the ability of racial or ethnic communities to elect the candidate of their choice. The CVRA favors district-based election systems in which candidates must reside in a trustee area and only the voters residing in that trustee area vote for these candidates. To avoid the potential for litigation and the cost of attorney's fees, the board has decided to modify the current election system and establish a district-based system for the 2026 election. That means that beginning in 2026, voters in those trustee areas up for election in 2026 will vote for one candidate in their trustee area, and the remaining trustees will hold an election in 2028. The change in the election system will not affect the 2024 election or school attendance boundaries. I am now going to turn over the podium to our legal counsel to introduce our demographer and provide us with additional information, followed by public input. Before you go on, Ron, I want everyone to know that every piece of paper, including the initial demand that was sent to us by an attorney, is included on every agenda packet every time anything about this is discussed. Can you pull up that screen quick and show everybody all the attachments that were on this agenda? We're killing a lot of trees, but every part of it is there. So any meeting, anybody watches about this, you will be able to see the entire information packet. As additional information becomes available, we will add it to that list. Ron?
Well, thank you very much, Board President Hallsgraf. Appreciate you, your introduction of this matter. It's my honor to introduce Justin Levitt, who's Vice President of the National Demographics Corporation, also known as NDC. Justin has been with NDC for 20 years, and he has worked with numerous school districts, community college districts, special districts, and cities, including in this area, West Side and Lancaster school districts. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Levitt to do a PowerPoint presentation on this California Voting Rights Act.
All right, good evening. I just want to check in, make sure everybody can hear me, and ask if we can pull up the presentation, or I can share my screen, whichever is easier.
We could hear you.
Okay.
We could go ahead, Dr. Levitt, we'll pull up the presentation for you.
Thank you. Just as we're pulling it up, I won't just say that, we went through this presentation a couple of weeks ago. My goal here is not to repeat all of the information that we said last time, but to make sure we kind of review and go through all the necessary legal requirements at this stage of the process. Tonight, I know on the agenda following this presentation, you'll have an opportunity to approve the list of criteria we're using in the districting process. And that's something that we've increasingly looked at as an important step, just to make sure that for our legal requirements, we've done all of our checks and balances. So the presentation is pulled up, ready to go. I'm sorry, on the shared screen, I can see the agenda, but not the presentation.
We're working on it, Dr. Levitt.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you see it now, Dr. Levitt?
Right now, it has a black screen on my computer.
There we go. It's on my screen. I can see the PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay, great.
Thank you, Mr. Winkart.
So if we go to the election system slide 2, essentially what the superintendent, or sorry, what the president has already laid out essentially summarizes what we're looking at doing here. Essentially transitioning the method of election from an at-large system where all residents of the district are able to elect all members to the board on a rotating basis, to elect 2 seats up in 1 year, 3 seats up in the following year, to a by-district or by-trustee area system, where the district is divided into 5 equally populated areas, and only the residents within each area get to vote for that trustee once every 4 years. As already mentioned, this is because of the California Voting Rights Act. And if we go to the next slide, just a little bit of the California Voting Rights Act. This is a law that was specifically written to encourage this by trustee area elections. It makes the legal requirements significantly weaker than the Federal Voting Rights Act, which traditionally has been very difficult to use against local jurisdictions, just on the basis that they use an at-large election system. And because of this, liability is only determined by whether or not members of different racial or ethnic groups vote differently, and whether or not that constitutes vote dilution. And the law is written to favor the plaintiffs. If the city wins or if the school district wins, then they don't get to recoup any of their costs. On the other hand, if the plaintiff goes to court and wins, they can recoup for 6 or 7 figures minimum. As we can see on the next slide, the impact of this has been immense. Some of those legal settlements have ranged in the 6 or 7 figures. For example, the city of Palmdale settled for 4.7 million. Modesto back in 2008, so over a decade and a half ago, settled for 3 million, and so on. In addition, there have been several court cases. Every court case so far has gone in favor of the California Voting Rights Act. One case, Santa Monica case, has gone to the Supreme Court, and even that was not on the legality of the law itself, but more on the question of what standard was used to determine liability. And so as a result, you've seen this transition across the state. At this point, over 250 school districts and over 200 cities have either made the change to district or trustee area elections or are in the process of doing so. And the state, if we go to the next slide, lays out this timeline to do it. We've had 2 initial hearings to talk about the criteria and rules governing the districting process. In addition, last week we also held a community forum online. Following this hearing, we get to start drawing the maps. The first round of draft maps have to be released by November 7th. And on November 14th will be our first chance to have a public hearing at a board meeting on those maps. Following that, we'll have a community forum on November 20th and a second hearing in front of the board on December 19th to look at final versions of those maps or potentially revisions or updates. And the final map is scheduled to be adopted by the board on December 16th. Following that, or December 19th, sorry. Following that, the map goes into the County Committee on School District Organization, which has to hold a hearing within your district, and that'll be in early 2025. Now, turning to those rules and goals for drawing trustee areas, we divide them into 3 categories based on where they come from. That first column, federal laws, are things that apply to every jurisdiction in the country, all the way from drawing congressional districts down to our local schools and special districts. And first and foremost is equal population. This is the 1 person, 1 vote principle. Trustee areas have to have about the same number of total residents as counted in the last census. And we'll take that total census population number, divide by 5 to get our target population. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we look at the actual numbers on the following slides. In addition, we have to respect the requirements of the Federal Voting Rights Act. While race and ethnicity cannot be the only factor or the predominant factor in drawing a trustee area, we do have to watch for protected class communities and make sure that our district lines don't negatively harm groups. We've actually done an analysis as required by law of the district, and we did not see any areas that really get up to that federal voting rights standard. That doesn't mean that there aren't communities or other neighborhoods that we need to take into account later on. And that really brings us into that second column. California passed a new law last year, the Fair Maps Act, that lays out a list of rank ordered criteria that we'll be adopting later tonight that lay out in a priority ranking for what we need to follow when we're drawing trustee area lines. First is geographical contiguity. This is the principle that districts have to be contiguous or all parts have to touch. You can't have a little bit up in the northeast corner of the district in Agua Dulce and then a little bit in central Acton that don't actually have a physical connection or link to each other. Generally speaking, the principle the courts uses, is it possible to walk or drive from one part of a trustee area to all other parts of that trustee area without leaving the trustee area? Second is avoiding division of neighborhoods and communities of interest. We're going to go into this more on a couple slides later, But I want us to start thinking about neighborhoods and communities of interest as the law defines them, socioeconomic or geographic areas that need to be kept together for the purpose of their fair and effective representation. Third is avoiding division of cities and census designated places. We have 2 census designated places within our district here, Acton and Agua Dulce. And so to the extent that we can draw districts that avoid extraneous or extra divisions of those areas, we have to look at doing that. And then fourth, easily identifiable boundaries. This is the principle that it should be easy for voters to understand which trustee area they live in. And so to the extent we can follow major roads or other natural or man-made boundaries, rather than jogging through little back roads or neighborhoods, we should strive to do that. And then lastly, the 5th priority is compactness, specifically defined here as not bypassing one group of people to get to a more distant group of people. That's aimed at hooks and fingers, odd lines that look like they're specifically designed to get a particular house or neighborhood. Now, these are rank ordered for a reason. So if, for example, we're following a canyon and we want to put all the homes along a particular canyon into a district as a neighborhood or as a community, we need to do that first, even if it looks less than perfectly compact. And then finally, in the top of the 3rd column, the law also contains a prohibition on drawing or adopting election district boundaries for the purpose of discriminating or favoring against an incumbent political candidate or political party. And so these lines will be drawn blind to where the current board resides. In addition, there'll be no political information or information about the partisan registration or makeup of the trustee areas on the maps. Third, other traditional districting principles. This is our column, or this is our section where we talk about other factors like attendance areas or maintaining certain overlap with other jurisdictions as a potential traditional principle that we can look at including after and only after we look at all of our federal and state requirements. So that's kind of a catch-all for things like future population growth, like attendance areas, and all sorts of other things we think are important to consider, which we can consider, just not prioritize over the requirements. So looking at our overall demographics, the census counted 12,265 residents in the district last year. This is, again, our total population. Of that population, 64% non-Hispanic white, 28% or Hispanic or Latino, and then smaller percentages for different racial or ethnic groups. Those numbers are fairly similar, 70% to 24% for our citizen voting age population. That's the population over the age of 18 with US citizenship. The citizen voting age population is what we use when we look at the Voting Rights Act, because that's what the courts call the eligible voter count, who is eligible to register and to vote. If we go to the next slide, dividing that 12,265 number by 5, each of the 5 trustee areas will have about 2,453 residents. Now, I don't expect any of the trustee areas will have exactly 2,453 residents because the courts do allow us some deviation or difference from perfect equality to keep all of those other goals and requirements active. In other words, we shouldn't create an uglier district just because it's not perfectly at 2,453. At most, we're allowed a 10% difference between the largest or smallest, which means that each of the districts might be about 125 people larger to about 125 people smaller than that target number. Overall, about a 250 person difference between the largest and the smallest. In addition to that, we have a lot of other demographic information on this slide. A lot of this is useful for helping to identify communities of interest or where we see differences. For example, looking at housing or income, looking at where we see people of different age groups or different languages spoken at home, where we see families with children, for example. And we'll provide all this information broken up by trustee area when we draw the maps. Moving to the next slide. We did do a demographic analysis as part of our report, looking at the Latino citizen voting age population. The areas that are in the blues and purples have small Latino populations, under 25% for purple, under 35% for blue. The areas that are in yellow and pink have larger Latino populations, over 75% for pink, over 65% for blue. But what we run into, of course, is that the size of the census blocks, those are the smallest unit of census geography, do not actually reflect always the number of people who reside within that area. Some of those big pink and yellow blocks, particularly just south of, the highway there, Highway 14 there, we have a very large yellow block. I think there's about 20 residents who live in that block. It's just a massive area that's mostly open space. And meanwhile, some of those small pink blocks look smaller, but they actually have much larger numbers of residents. And so all of what I want to say without the map is that, it's important to take this with a understanding that the size of the census blocks don't always reflect the number of people within them. Overall, we don't see any concentrations of Latinos, Asian Americans, African Americans, or Native Americans. If we go to the next slide, this really brings us then to the heart of the districting process. I like to think of these neighborhoods as the building blocks, the smallest building blocks that we use as basis for drawing our trustee areas. Essentially, a neighborhood is an area defined by a historical and geographic boundary. This is something that we can point to the areas along a particular street or in a particular subdivision or in a particular planned community. Sometimes as small as a specific apartment building or condominium complex. Sometimes a little bit larger because it's a set of homes, or like a few blocks of homes designed by a single developer in a specific year. Sometimes it's defined by their neighbors, the areas that touch a specific park, the areas along a specific road. But really what we're getting at with neighborhoods is specifically about the geography. We should be able to point to some geographic feature that helps us define where that neighborhood is. That's why I like to call them the small little Lego blocks that begin the process of building up into our larger districts. If we go to the next slide, communities of interest then are the way that these neighborhoods fit together. Communities of interest are populations that share a common or social economic interest that should be included within a single district or trustee area for the purpose of their fair and effective representation. And so what this means is that this is how the Legos build together into those shapes that are our trustee areas. The shared policy concerns like attendance areas or public safety issues. One time in a school district, it was about a specific bus route. Another time it had to do with crossings on a particular street. But it doesn't have to be simply public policy concerns, shared history, shared socioeconomic concerns, shared voter registration rates. I like to use examples like, we had some areas that are defined by horse owning communities and where the deed specifically required that the properties maintain facilities for horses as one of our communities of interest in a rural district. Other times it's the farming community. Or other specific things that are bringing neighborhoods together under a common issue or a common concern. Just as a reminder, this means that what we're looking at are these policy, social, economic concerns, not looking at partisanship or relationship to a particular candidate or party as the reason for that community. If we go to the next slide, just to give you a couple of maps showing some differences across the district. These are kind of at the block group level, so units of about 2,000 residents. Not necessarily precise detail, but kind of some general trends. We have how percent of households earning more than 75,000 on the left, percent of families with a child at home on the right. And this is, these are examples of things that often come up as issues that define communities of interest or create communities of interest. But they're no substitute for your local knowledge and awareness of the district. And if something doesn't work or something's not right to look at for our district here, then we ignore it and we focus on those issues that are important that we hear from the community. And then if we go to the last slide, really what we're looking at here is for you to help us with our starting points. We're going to come back with a minimum of 3 maps at our next hearing. And so what factors should we consider? What neighborhoods, what communities of interest, what geographic boundaries should we be looking at as we're starting to put pen to paper and draw the lines on the map? I'm also happy to address any other questions about the process or criteria. I know we have a criteria adoption following this presentation. And so any questions you have about that or the timeline, I'm happy to address as well. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. First, I'll ask if there's any public comment on this or public input on this item. Anyone in the room? Anyone online? We'll turn to the board. Do you have any comments? There are no comments from the board. Therefore, I believe it's time to close the public hearing at 8:27. Moving on to item B. I will move approval resolution 2024-2508, establishing criteria for developing trustee area boundaries. I have the following comment. Tonight, the board is being asked to approve a resolution establishing criteria for developing trustee area maps as required by the California Voting Rights Act and the Fair Maps Act. The criteria set forth in the election code. The criteria and input from the board and the public will be used by the demographer to draft several maps for the board to consider at its November 14th meeting. Did I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Again, is there any public comment? Is there any comment online? Is there any board member comment?
No.
I will make this comment. I am not aware of any input that's been given by the public in either hearing. I am not aware of any comment that has been given by the board. Therefore, my suggestion is that the demographer uses his professional experience and the outline of the law to set the map criteria. Does anyone have comment to that? Call to question?
Mays, aye.
Jesus, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye.
Matt Scott, aye.
Fallsgraf, aye. We'll now move on to board member comments, starting with Mr. Mays.
First, I would expect that all staff at all school sites will always have our kids' safety at top priority and make sure that all kids have a safe place to learn. Please, and thank you. I'm looking forward to the Harvest Fest this Saturday at Vasquez. Hope to see you all there. That should be a great time. And then also hope to see everybody at the last home football game, November 1st at Vasquez.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I want to thank the public speakers that gave the comments. I appreciate that. And you got my sincere apologies. I spent the last 29 years of my life working to guarantee other people's safety, 6 years in the Army and 23 years in law enforcement now. So safety is one of my top priorities. It's very important to me. That being said, I think it's important that we do revisit and revise some of the district policies surrounding our disciplinary process, which really hasn't been reviewed since 2005. So I think that's almost 20 years. So I think it's time that we really relook at that, because I want to ensure that our policies are not only in line with the education code, but also seek to deter violent behavior, right? with progressive discipline and by creating appropriate consequences that really discourage some type of violent behavior. I teach criminology at ABC, and in our criminology course is understanding the why people commit certain acts, right? And one of the theories that the students have to learn is the rational choice theory, which I think is very important. It really goes to say that people will make a conscious decision whether to do an act because of the risk of consequences. They weigh the risk versus the act, right? I think that's why we see a lot of crime in LA, because of course there's no consequences. So people act a certain way. And I think that's also the same within our school district, right? So if there's no really real consequences, people are going to continue certain behaviors. So that being said, I think it's important that we just revisit what kind of consequences are we giving our students who act out in certain ways. And of course that it's consistent with education code, but I think it's time that we revisit that. 2005 has been almost 20 years. So that's all.
I will also start by addressing our parent speakers. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for bringing issues to our attention that sometimes we're informed of issues, but we're not given details. We're given what we're allowed to know, and a lot of times hearing directly from parents, as you brought stuff here today, or receiving emails from parents is very enlightening. You're allowed to give details that we're not allowed to hear in other avenues. So I sincerely thank you for being here. I would encourage you and other parents to not stop reaching out. Just because you came here tonight, if you don't see anything happen and if you don't feel satisfied, don't say, well, we tried. Keep reaching out, keep emailing, don't give up. When I was in 7th grade, I was jumped in the bathroom at High Desert. I was taken in by like 5 girls, maybe 6 girls. They beat me up, they pulled my hair, they took my, it wasn't fun. Nothing happened to those girls. One of them, her parent was a teacher at High Desert. Nothing happened to that whole group of girls. I got suspended. So I don't say that for you to feel sorry for me. I'm not a victim at 43 years old anymore. But I say that to empathize with you, your child. That should not, stuff that was happening in 1993 should not still be happening in 2024. We should be doing better. We as adults, as a school board, as administrators, as teachers, as parents, we should be doing better. That should not still be happening on our campuses. We have a small site. We have extremely involved parents. We have amazing staff, and we have an amazing kids. And this should not still be happening. You should not be afraid to drop your child off at school ever. And I sincerely apologize that you do feel afraid to drop your child off. As a mom, I know how that feels. So I sincerely apologize from one parent to another. So hopefully we can work through this and do better tomorrow, and better the next day, and better the next day. That said, I am very excited about the JROTC potentially coming to our site. That's going to be huge for our students at Vasquez. That is very cool. So thank you for bringing yet another program, another positive improvement to our campus, another opportunity for our students. That is so very cool. And like Bill said, I'm definitely looking forward to Fall Fest and to our last home football game, and congratulations to all of our sports teams that are doing so well. It's very, very cool. That's it.
I think again, been addressed a few times by the board. Thank you for coming and sharing your story. As Brianna said, it's you do get information on it, but seeing the face of it and seeing the anguish and seeing all of that really does put a different picture on it. So thank you for coming and sharing. You have been heard, and confident that you'll receive a response. My other comments would be, again, as a former Marine, I'm thrilled to hear that the Marine Corps Junior ROTC may be coming to our school. I think that's a good fit for our community and a good fit for our kids. And it's be great options for them. Thank you.
All right, party time. I have different viewpoints on this. I'm going to kind of let you in on as much of it as I can. I didn't grow up being a Lily. I had an art teacher come to my house in second grade, and I heard her tell my mother that the next time they saw bruises on me, the police were coming. I grew up in a highly violent home. So I know what this is like. And I know where bullying starts. It starts at home. It doesn't start in this classroom. I went on a rant last year. That was nothing compared to what you'll hear tonight. There was somebody sitting there with bruises all over their face last time. Bullying starts at home. It starts off by a parent who lives through their child and grooms staff and pressures school staff to make sure that their kid ends up with the scholarship. That's where it starts. And the kids that don't have the money and the clothes, they turn to street cred. That's what happens. Bullying begins at home. When you talk to your wife like she's a subservient to you, that's what boys see. When you're out in the garage smoking a joint, don't be surprised when your kids bring dope to school. Put the six-pack down, engage in your child's life. My teachers, they're my teachers. If I'm going to vote on them being hired here, my kids, I have a kid that's second year of law school. She's got so many degrees, I don't know what to do. You people put her where she is. I have another one that's been the least functional student in this district for years, and she has been treated with kindness and compassion. And the only reason she's not depressed and has a future is because these teachers, these same teachers and these same staff that were so easy to blame and concoct votes back there because we know how to do the math. 3 votes yes, 2 no. I've been up here a long time. Read between the lines. My teachers are not psychiatrists. They deserve to be safe in the classroom. They are not parents. They are not whatever, they're teachers and they deserve to be safe. So, George, I very much appreciate how mellow you were. By the way, I got pulled over yesterday by one of your counterparts, and well, I'm gonna tell you about this. I got pulled over. The navigation, I don't know what I did without turn left, turn right, then turn right. Then so I pick it up, I wing it, the cop sees me, he gives me a warning ticket. I've never been treated with such respect. And he kind of gave me a little speech and says, we're out here trying to make sure our neighborhoods are safe. And I know that, you know, you're going to help me. So when the cops can act like that, we're fine. But let me help you. I will help you. If I'm a parent and your kid assaults my kid, I am going to file police charges. I'm going to show up at every hearing. I'm going to tell the judge, I think this person cannot control themselves and they attack innocent people on the street. The bailiff will haul me out every time. I will see to it that everyone knows what you do. Once I'm done with you there, I will own your house. I will sell your underwear at a yard sale. You know not the depths of my bitterness when you attack my child. So she's out there, find out who she is, attack her so I can take you out of business. Do it tomorrow morning. Please do it. Now I want to talk about special education. Oh, I'm getting way out there in the weeds, but I can do this. Do you know that if somebody has certain classifications and disabilities, that can affect how they are suspended, how they are expelled? Does everybody know that? Do you know that we can't talk about it? And do you know that if we do talk about we're violating federal rights? Well, I just told you I have the kid in the district. So what, should she be able to just come and attack everybody tomorrow morning and get a free ride? At what point do I want to know as a parent, wait a minute, this is not cool. I'll tell you something else. The staff over here got all these federal grants and loans. We used to run charter schools to make money or some crap, whatever we were doing. They got grants for all this behavioral stuff. They're spending it on all these programs to help people. I can't say that the average kid in our district is going to attack you. I think they want to come into the classroom. I think they want to learn, but I don't think they want to be sorted out and classed out by dismissive parents or social pressures. I really don't think that. There are so many programs. Your progressive districts, what they're starting to do is they have alternative dispute resolution things. They will actually, did you ever stop to think that maybe the parent doesn't know what's going on? How many parents have you seen come into IEP meetings that just felt disenfranchised? They don't know what's going on. They don't understand the system. Maybe there's a language barrier. Everyone else is around them dressed up in nice clothes, and you can't even get 4 kids out of bed and in the car, and you feel completely disenfranchised. And maybe you don't know what to do. Is there ever any effort to reach out to the parent of the kid that's the problem? We need to start thinking about that. We also have all kinds of different placements for people. There's all different options. Maybe your kid needs a break. Let's start being progressive about this rather than reactive. But don't kid yourself. You attack my child, I will destroy your life until you learn. I've got subcommittees here that come on. I've been fighting for years to have subcommittees. I've got a subcommittee that's talking about facilities and finance. They want to make sure that the classroom is safe and clean. They're doing hard work for that. The education subcommittee's coming on. You can't raise scores if no one feels safe. I'm sorry I'm rude, but I'm not sorry at all. We are going to, you'll end up seeing a subcommittee coming on about policy and management. And when these 2 subcommittees put together, what we need to focus on is start jamming new rules through. You might see a familiar face on that subcommittee. I don't know what to say to y'all. I can't look at anybody in this room and say, yeah, they just planned it. Oh, please don't seek revenge. There's something good about reaching out to somebody. If their kid is doing this, reach out to them and find out how you can help those people, because the cycle isn't broken with the good kids. The cycle is broken by giving kids who have an identity problem or a self-esteem problem the support they need. Start looking at what some of the bigger progressive districts are doing. There are some people that have mediation hearings between students. Have anyone ever heard of that? Yeah. Let's not sit back and wait for it to happen again, because it's going to happen again. And if I put the hammer down on somebody that's got an IEP, or we drop the ball in a manifestation, manifestation determination hearing, and we find out that the kid is acting this way because of their disability and their eligibility, then the district's got a federal lawsuit. We have placements up in residential placements that are non-public agencies. So we're paying $15,000, $20,000 a month to get somebody out of here and flying everybody up there. That takes money away from the other kids. This is an isolated problem, but it's a huge problem if it's your kid. I'm sorry. You heard what I would do.
They already have issues. They can't use that excuse. They're not already in those classes. After the fact, it's already happened. All these problems with you. Right?
That's a board member comment. If you want to talk to me offline, I got all kinds of time to talk to you, sir. I really do. I know more about this than you could possibly imagine. What class I'm not going to debate you. I have a child that has never said a word in her life. She wouldn't know if someone was going to attack her. She really wouldn't know. So should I put her in an institution or a cell tonight? Is that what I should do? Okay, we'll take this offline. I've apologized. The whole board has apologized. Okay? And I think staff listens to me when I start yelling. When I threaten to take somebody's underwear and sell them at a yard sale, I think I get attention. I'm with you all the way. How much are you going to charge for the underwear? This board feels for you. Okay. What else do we have? Are we going to have a quorum for the next meeting, which is November 14th? December 19th. Everything's good. The December 19th meeting is when we will rotate out of these chairs, and then I get to go down there and I don't have to behave at all down there. And then we have future agenda items. ELD student reclassification, quarterly strategic plan report. Guys, when that one comes up, I'm going to ask for subcommittee opinions. So be ready for that. California Voter Rights Act updates, a presentation from Meadowlark School. I'm excited about that. It beats tonight's topics. And board policies and administrative regulations. I think somebody mentioned that tonight, maybe. That's it on future agenda items. I'll move that we adjourn this meeting at 8. Is that right? 8:47.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Meza.
Yes, you say.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Mascot, aye.
Fallsgraph, aye. Thank you all.